welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and we have a great show for you today. First topic we're going over is the Dodgers and the rotation shakeup. After that, we'll be going over Cody Bellinger's injury and the impact it had on the free agent market. Then, some all-star replacements, Aaron Judge and the offer the Rays made to him, and some hitter power rankings. But before we do all that, I would like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link, gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show for today. All right, so first topic we'll be talking about here today is, of course, going to be about the Dodgers, as I said, and just talking about their rotation shakeup and just what went on with it. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, news did break around, I'd say maybe a day or 2 days ago, that Tyler Glasnow of the Dodgers, of course, was going to be being placed on the injured list with the back issue. Now, this has been Glasnow's first injury with the Dodgers this year after a really clean bill of health after coming over in the huge trade this offseason from Tampa Bay. Of course, Tampa, I'd say one of the biggest reasons they traded him was because of his lengthy injury history. Glasnow was an amazing pitcher when he was on the field with Tampa, but that was a big if. You know, when was he on the when he was on the field? That was a big was, I should say. Because he wasn't on the field a lot. You know, he had Tommy John. He had some other injuries as well that were limiting him during his time at Tampa Bay. So, as much as he was a very good pitcher there, he was, I would argue, top 5, top 10 in the world when he stepped on the mound. It wasn't a lot because of the injuries and because of the setbacks he had. So, when trading him to the Dodgers were getting an ace-level pitcher, a guy who had incredible amounts of talent, but they really need someone who could stay on the field. And really, throughout his tenure with Los Angeles, going back home to LA, he has done that completely. This is his real first injury with the Dodgers that has allowed him to miss a start. So nothing too crazy. Again, it's a back injury. I think any injury that comes to a pitcher and that's not involving your arm, your shoulder, your elbow, anything involving your arm is a big positive. So, you know, right before the All-Star break as well, he's not going to miss that many starts, maybe 1, 2 at most. So it's not exactly like it's a huge injury here, but it is something that was needed to be talked about. So, yeah, it was interesting to see Glasnow be placed in the injured list. A lot of people think it could just be the phantom IL to be able to rest him before the All-Star break and then a little after that as well as we gear into the trade deadline and when things kind of start getting serious, which I could also understand. I think that could be right. So, yeah, but not a big deal, I don't think. Again, the back issue seems like it's very minuscule, and the Dodgers are doing that, just doing it because, again, they just want to be very careful with him. With all the injuries they've had this year, they really want to make sure that Glasnow is fully okay, and they really just don't want to risk it. I mean, you look at the Dodgers right now, they have an IL rotation of Tyler Glasnow as your ace. You have Shohei Ohtani as your second pitcher, Yoshinobu Yamamoto as your third, Clayton Kershaw as your fourth, and then Walker Buehler as your fifth. And then your depth is Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May, and Emmett Sheehan. So that's better than a lot of people's rotations, and it's just who's on the injured list for the Dodgers. So obviously have had a lot of injuries this year for this team, and not really surprising that they wanted to be able to make sure Glasnow was okay, put him on the injured list, and just rest him to obviously make sure that everything was all right. So with Glasnow being placed on the injured list, we also had another piece of Dodgers news that actually was not positive, so it was negative, I'd say, and that was that Bobby Miller, he was placed on the injured list by the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, Miller has had a very up and down career so far. Last year did come up and make his MLB debut. Sorry, it was 2023. Apologize. Made 22 starts in that year as well. So, yeah. But Miller came up as a top prospect with this Dodgers team, a pitching prospect who had a lot of pedigree. I knew about him as well. I really liked his pitches. I like the way he was able to mix them up and just really be a pitcher in general. So overall, you know, this is a big call up by the Dodgers, and Miller unfortunately really has not lived up to the pedigree that there was when he was called up. Really has not lived up to being the pitcher they thought he would be, and so far has not done great in his MLB career, and now has been sent down by the Dodgers. So when he did come up in 23, sorry, I was wrong again. So first I said 2023, then I said no, I was wrong, 2022. Now it's 2023. I was right the first time. I don't know why I doubted myself. Sorry about that. When he came up last year in 2023, as I said, he made 22 starts, which was very important for them as they, again, had a lot of injuries, had a lot of guys on the IL, and being able to have one of your top prospects in Bobby Miller, who was also an older prospect, 23, 24, It wasn't exactly like, oh, he was still developing. No, he was pretty much developed for a starter. Come up, make 22 starts, had a 3.76 ERA, 124 innings pitched. Obviously, very nice there. And then you look at his K per 9 as well. Last year was 8.61, which is obviously very fantastic. Walk per 9 of 2.32, which is not bad whatsoever. K percentage 23%, walk percentage 6.3%, K to walk ratio 17.2, which is pretty good for a pitcher of his young caliber. Left on base percentage of 71, which is also pretty good. FIP of 3.51, so obviously it wasn't exactly like he was getting fully lucky. He was just having a very solid, good rookie season, and he looked to be a promising young pitcher for this Dodgers team. Looked to be a guy that could definitely be a difference maker for this team going forward. And the Dodgers have always had a ton of good pitching prospects, and I think Bobby Miller was just adding on to that array of talent and has been fantastic so far in his MLB career. And then things coming up this year, he was slotted in to be the 4 or 5 guy in that rotation, and was supposed to be a big part of this Dodgers rotation, and it really has not gone well. He's honestly been a disaster this year, and the Dodgers have now sent him back to AAA, and really it's a misstep in his career. So you first of all look at his ERA. So looking at his ERA this year, it is going to be at a 8.07. So that's obviously as bad as it gets, I'd say. His expected ERA is 6.02, which I'd say goes down significantly from his ERA last year being 3.76 and expected ERA being 3.40. FIP went from 3.51 to 6.31. His expected FIP went from 3.75 to 4.59. His pitching WAR went from 2.8 to negative 0.3. So obviously a lot has gone wrong for Bobby Miller, and I think we're asking a lot of questions. Why? And really, I think there's one obvious answer if you look at his numbers, and it's the control. So last year, of course, he only walked 2.32 per 9 walks per 9. So obviously, that's how many people he walked per game, and that's not bad. It really isn't, and I'd say it's pretty good actually. And this year, it's at 5.59. So that's bad. That's really, really bad. His K to walk ratio just went up significantly, and went down significantly. Is what I really should say. And man, it's just been really, really bad, and has not been something that you really would like to see. So the way that Miller has just regressed this entire year with the Dodgers has been really unfortunate, and overall has just been something that the Dodgers are really not counting on, I'd say. I think that the Dodgers really do need to have a starting pitcher right now, and the way that Miller has been producing, I think, really adds on to that. I think they were really banking on Miller being a star pitcher, a guy who could go in their rotation, have consistent, good starts, and he really has just not done that. He's been very bad, really has taken a big step back within his career. The thing that I would say, though, is a positive about Miller is that it's not like he's taken a little step back and just become a 5 ERA kind of pitcher, something like that. I shouldn't really say small step back. That's still a big step back. He's had such horrible stats that there has to be something wrong with him. It's not just like, oh, the league's figuring him out so he's going to get worse. No. These stats are so bad that there's obviously either something mentally, physically, or mechanically wrong with him. There has to be something like that, because you don't just go from a 3.76 ERA to an 8 ERA because the league figured you out. No, the league figuring you out is something that is going to happen for all young pitchers. But it's not something that's going to happen where it's going to raise your ERA 5 points. That's just not going to happen. So there's obviously something mechanically, mentally, or physically wrong with Miller. And if any organization can figure out what it is, it's the Dodgers. They are wizards with this kind of stuff, and be interested to see what Miller's future looks like. And I do still think there's a lot going for him. But man, I mean, if you watch that Dodgers game versus Phillies game, I believe yesterday, the day before yesterday, first game of that series where he gave up all those runs, and when he pitched, I believe it was 8. It was really rough, and he did not look good. So hopeful for him to get back where he needs to be, and back where the Dodgers would like him to be, and has a long, prosperous career. But going to the Dodgers now, I mean, I think they do need to have a starting pitcher at the deadline. And I know I've connected them a lot to Garrett Crochet of the White Sox, so I think makes a lot of sense. But I think they could get some younger arms as well. Not younger arms, I mean more, less costly arms, what I should say, because Crochet, man, is he going to get a prospect package. But I think maybe getting a reunion with Tyler Anderson would be nice, A reunion with Nathan Eovaldi would be interesting. Maybe a reunion with Max Scherzer. Apparently, they at one point had every single starting pitcher available at this deadline. I think that would be interesting. I think some other, veteran arms could be good as well. Jack Flaherty, bringing him back to Los Angeles where he grew up would be really cool. So there are a lot of arms that could be available for the Dodgers team. They have the prospect capital to get anyone. They always do. That's why the organization is so amazing. So it'll be interesting to see who the Dodgers do end up acquiring, because believe me, they're going to acquire someone. Andrew Friedman does not sleep, and he will definitely end up getting someone. So it will be interesting to see who they do get. And, just watching this Dodgers team, watching this rotation specifically, and, I'll be very, very interested to see what is going to happen with them, and, just what storylines are going to emerge with this Dodgers team, and what is going to happen with them going into the trade deadline, and with their players as well, like Bobby Miller, who will be interested to follow in AAA. That is it for our first segment here, talking about the Dodgers and the rotation shakeup. Moving into our second segment here, which is going to be talking about Cody Bellinger and the center field trade market, going over Bellinger and his injury and just how that is going to affect the center field trade market. So, we're going to go into that, and we'll see you after the break. So, thanks, and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read in the air, please use the link at gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get back into the show for today. All right, so the topic we're going to be going over is Cody Bellinger and the center field trade market. Now, I actually want to say that some perfect timing just happened right here. So I was going into this segment assuming Cody Bellinger would be going on the injured list, as Alexander Canario was caught up by the Cubs, who is the outfield guy who comes up whenever someone in the outfield is hurt. So Cody Bellinger got hit by a pitch last night on his finger, and as I was on break, I saw that Bellinger was officially placed on the injured list by the Cubs with a fracture on his finger. So perfect timing there. That's actually pretty great to confirm this segment and make sure all my information is correct. So we'll be talking about it. So Cody Bellinger, it was announced obviously about 5 seconds ago that he is going to be placed on the injured list by the Chicago Cubs with a finger fracture, which is not a surprise at all. As I said yesterday, he was hit by a pitch in his finger by the Orioles, and it looked to be pretty bad. And he looks to be out for a little bit. And this affects the Cubs, yes, but I think really more it affects the center field trade market. I think Bellinger was going to be traded at this deadline, and I think that a lot of teams were going to register interest in him. But now with this, I'm not sure how long he's going to be out. I would say probably past the trade deadline, and I think it kind of eliminates a lot of his trade value and the value that he was going to be traded with. So, I think that it's going to be interesting to see how this does affect the market and just some other alternates for teams that were looking at the center field market. So I did just want to talk about this and just going over the Cubs as well, just talking about Bellinger quickly before we move into the center field part of this. The Cubs are just a disaster this year, man. I mean, nothing can go right for them. Bellinger now getting hurt is just another part of that. So, not great. Not great for them. And this season is really not going right. Started off amazing with Shota Imanaga having maybe the greatest rookie season ever. And then, he's fallen back down to earth. So, obviously, it's not been a great few months for this Cubs team. And yeah, they're looking like to be sellers, and I think Bellinger was going to be a big part of that. And now with this injury, not sure what'll happen, but we'll have to see. So for a team looking at a center fielder on the trade market, I think there were a few alternatives. I think really there are four main guys. One of these guys now is injured, and I think his trade market becomes a little murky. I think Bellinger's market was already a little murky because his contract situation's weird. He's not hitting the greatest this year, but other than him, I think, again, there's three other options that you could look for if you are a team looking at the trade market. So the first one is the all-out guy, the big push, the big fish, the guy that every single person wants. And that right here is, of course, Luis Robert. Now, I've talked about Luis Robert so much on this show, but just, I'll just get a little recap. He's, of course, on the other side of town. Bellinger's with the Cubs, Robert's with the White Sox, and Robert is the rare case where a superstar center fielder with years and years of control left, cheap control I might add, is on the trade market because that's how bad the White Sox are. The White Sox are looking for a transformative prospect package for this franchise because they need it because they don't have a great future, and trading a superstar like Robert will get you that. That's the only situation where a player like Robert becomes available with how fantastic he is. But that's the situation the White Sox find themselves in, and yeah, it's time to go if you're Luis Robert, I'd say. I think it's, personally for him, I think he is going to be traded, and it'll be interesting to see what team. But yeah, if you're a team that has prospect capital, wants to get a superstar center fielder, wants to be able to get a guy like Robert, I think this, I think you can, and this is the guy you want if you want a superstar at this team and you want to fix your center fielder problem long term. I've talked about a few teams on the show that need a center fielder for the long term and need a center fielder now, and teams that I'm going to continue to talk about for this segment for the center field market are going to be the Dodgers, who I just talked about, the Orioles, the Phillies, the Royals, some other teams as well, but really those four teams. And I think all the teams I just listed except the Royals can really afford to get Robert. It's just a matter of who gets him, and I think the Dodgers just make a ton of sense here. I really do think that you get Robert, you add another superstar to your center, to your lineup, add a superstar to the center field there out there in Chavez Ravine, and that's one of the positions where you don't really have a long-term outlook. I was assuming last year that James Outton would be that guy when he finished top 3 in the Rookie of the Year, but man, was he horrible this year, and now he's back in AAA. Doesn't really look like he's coming up anytime soon. So I think if you're the Dodgers, you have to wager this long-term prospect capital and to end up getting him. You could look to get him and Garrett Crochet as well, but I also think that package makes sense. The exact same package makes sense for the Orioles as well, who I would maybe argue have a better prospect, capital than the Dodgers. So it will be interesting to see if these teams can go out and get them. Phillies also have some good prospects as well, but I'm not exactly sure if they have better prospects than the Orioles and the Dodgers. But yeah, I think Robert's a fit for both of them. And again, he's kind of the king of this trade market. He's the guy that everyone wants to get, and specifically of the center field market as well. He's really the kingfish. So let's say you want a good center fielder, but you don't have enough prospects to get Luis Robert. You don't want to part with the prospects it takes to get a type of player like Luis Robert. You can get another type of player, which is Jazz Chisholm. I talked about Chisholm either yesterday or the day before that, did a segment on him and his trade market. So to continue with that, Chisholm is kind of in the middle. He's a very good player, very talented player, a lot of potential there, a player who adds a lot to a team, but he's not a superstar. He's a guy who will probably have a 110, 115 weighted runs rated plus in a good season, playing okay center field. I know what the defensive metrics say, but he's still learning the position. And also, other than that, he gives you versatility. He can play second base. He can play shortstop. He can probably play left field and right field if you teach him. So he's a very athletic guy. He's very versatile. So you have that as well. He steals a lot of bases. He has a lot of swag. He plays the game, in a great way. And he's a guy that's very marketable off the field as well, which I think does matter to a lot of teams, whether you want to admit it or not. So with Jazz, I think if it's your team like the Royals or the Pirates, I think getting Chisholm would make a lot of sense for you, where you are able to get a very good center fielder, a guy who can probably solve this issue long term, but is not going to cost the prospects like a Robert. I don't know if you'll even get a top 100 prospect if you're the Marlins. Apparently, John Heyman said there's only 1 to 2 teams showing interest in Chisholm. I think a lot of teams have a problem with the way he plays, his attitude, his whole rant he went on against Miguel Rojas. Personally, I just think it's cool. I mean, as long as he plays game well, and he's young, he's a great ambassador to the game. I don't really see a problem with how he plays. He's not being offensive or anything, but teams are gonna operate like that, right? What are you gonna do? So I think that Chisholm could be a really good add to a team. Again, is a very good long-term answer to center field, but won't cost the prospects that Luis Robert will, and will still end up solving your problem. Will not be as good as Luis Robert, I want to say, but is still a very good player. So that'll be interesting. But going to the final tier of this, I would go with the low buy, the guy who is good but not great, and is just solid. Maybe is your long-term answer, maybe he's not, but is still just a solid player. Jake McCarthy at the Diamondbacks. Now, Jake McCarthy is a very solid player for this Diamondbacks team. Is very good defensively. Is very good speed-wise. Can steal some bases. Is good late game as a defensive replacement or running. I don't know if you want him starting every day, but filling in, I think there's a lot worse options you can get. Like right now he's having a 117 weighted run created plus season, which is absolutely fantastic. Not sure if he's exactly going to keep that up. I mean, last year, 100 games, his weighted runs created plus was 79. So it's not exactly like this is who he is, but still, he's having a really good season. He brings a lot to you with the bat, with the glove, with the speed. So being able to get him from the Diamondbacks, I think, would be a good fit. And the Diamondbacks have a ton of outfield depth. Of course, Corbin Carroll. You have Alec Thomas as well. Some other guys who I'm completely forgetting for some reason. So I think getting McCarthy, you would probably have to trade a Major League talent. I think it'd probably be a pitcher for hitter swap in this case. But I think McCarthy would make a lot of sense for a team. And again, if you want a center fielder, but you don't want to spend the prospects to get a Jazz, to get a Robert, I think getting a McCarthy makes sense, and I think he'd be a good fit for a team. And again, is kind of in the middle where you don't have to give up a ton of prospects for Jazz or Robert, but it's still a very solid player that you maybe would start long term. Not really sure, but yeah, McCarthy's a very good player, and I like him. And these are really the three guys that you look towards the center field market: McCarthy, Robert, and then Chisholm. Because of the Cody Bellinger injury, these are the things you have to now look at. And again, I think all these four teams, maybe at the Pirates as well in there, they're kind of iffy, though I'm not really sure if they're buying or not. Also, Jacob Young of the Nationals is one of these guys, but I didn't really want to fully highlight him. So all these guys really, I think, are going to be parts of the center field market. And for these teams that need a center fielder, you're going to have to look at these guys with this Bellinger injury now and see who you want to get. So this market's going to be very interesting to watch for the next upcoming months or so. And yeah, I am very, very interested to see what is going to be happening with them. And yeah, just what teams do and what is going to go on with this market. So going to our third segment now, we are going to be talking about some all-star replacements and just some guys, some guys that are replacements for guys in the all-star game who are hurt or don't want to play in it and are simply just going out. So talking about them, how deserving they are, and what's going on with it. So yeah, talk about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to be talking about some all-star replacements and just going over the guys who were selected to go over to replace the guys on the all-star roster that are injured, don't want to play in it. And yeah, just talking about them and going over that, so we'll be going into that. First off, I do want to say the Mets just won and are now officially in playoff position. They are tied with the Padres for the third wild card spot. Makes me very happy. I am very, very excited. So yeah, just wanted to mention that as a Mets fan and needed to. So yeah, Going over now the All-Star replacements, we're going to be starting off with the first one, who, of course, you see on the screen right here, Jordan Westerberg of the Baltimore Orioles. Now, Westerberg is part of that huge Orioles young core of bats that are absolutely fantastic, and since coming up, he's been exactly what the Orioles have wanted him to be. Has manned that third base position very, very well, and has just been an absolutely fantastic player, and a big part of this Orioles team this year that I think really has gone not noticed very much, and very glad for him to be able to be in the All-Star game this year. He is replacing Rafael Devers of the Red Sox, who is not playing because of a sore hand, I think. I'm not exactly sure. Kind of seems like he doesn't really want to play in the game, which look, would you rather work or get 4 days off for a break? I mean, I don't blame any baseball guys who don't want to be in the All-Star game. It's an honor, yes, but also it's your job. At some point, you do need a break, so I don't blame. But looking over Westerberg's stats this year, is a 136 weighted run created plus. I mean, man, he's just absolutely fantastic. His on-base percentage 327, slugging 512, WAR already at 3, so has had absolutely fantastic season for the Orioles team. Again, has manned third base well all year, and I'm very happy for him to be able to get into this All-Star game and be able to, be one of the guys that are able to enjoy it. And yeah, a long career that is going to happen for Westerberg is, going to have many more of this, I think. And looking at this Orioles team, I mean, man, this core is absolutely fantastic. There's so many more guys that are coming up soon, and yeah, very exciting to be able to see that Westerberg did make the game and is getting some recognition for the awesome season he's having. And yeah, very exciting to end up seeing what is going to be happening with this team this year, and just going over guys who have made the All-Star game and deserve it. So their base, the AL was very stacked, which is why Westerberg didn't make it. I mean, you of course had Devers, you of course had Jose Ramirez, so it's not exactly like Westerberg was being totally snubbed. It was just a lot of other people who were deserving of making the game, and it was unfortunate for Westerberg. But yeah, so going over now, the next one we have from the Minnesota Twins, Willie Castro. Now, Willie Castro is an interesting one here. I don't really know what the rationale here was, but it was interesting, so we'll have to see. So you're looking at Willie Castro and his stats here for the Minnesota Twins, and it's interesting to say the least. He's played 93 games with them this year. Does have a 126 weighted runs created plus, so that is good. And yeah, has had a very good season. Like I said, it was interesting because really it's not something you expected from him. You really did not expect Willie Castro, of all people, to have a fantastic season, and yeah, he has. So it's been really great. Props to him, and yeah, I think he definitely deserves this. And again, has been so good with this Twins team, really out of nowhere. Has added into this surprising year of Twins bats and just the amount of infield talent they have. So yeah, he's been really good with them, and props to him. I mean, once Altuve was out, again, I think it was some sore hand for him. Not really sure. Again, I don't really think Altuve wants to play going to his rival stadium to get booed all the time. I think it's enough for him, and I don't really blame him again. So yeah, really nice season for Willie Castro. I think definitely deserves to be an All-Star. What a comeback from him, being a top prospect with the Tigers and kind of fizzling out and finding a home here in Minnesota. So with all the injuries they've had, especially to Royce Lewis, I think it's really nice for Willie Castro to be able to end up getting this with the Twins, getting this honor, and yeah, I think he'll definitely deserve it, and be very fun to see him in the All-Star game. So yeah. Next, we have for Tyler Glasnow, replacing him from the Cincinnati Reds, Hunter Green. Now, Hunter Green has had an absolutely fantastic season with this Reds team. Definitely deserves it. It's nice for him as well. He is from Los Angeles, so be able to replace a Dodgers pitcher, I'm sure, is pretty cool for him. But looking at it so far, he's thrown 104 innings pitched this year, which is very good because he's dealt with injuries really throughout his career, almost the amount of innings he's thrown last year, and is probably going to pass up the first year innings as well. So is he able to stay healthy this year, be consistent? ERA of 3.45, expected ERA of 3.14 is even lower than that. His FIP is 3.68. His pitching WAR already at 2.4 according to Fangraphs. K per 9 is at 10. Walks per 9 is at 3.71, which is a little high, but that's just what his game is. He's a hard-throwing right-handed pitcher who is younger, and all these hard-throwing younger pitchers are going to walk a lot of people. It's just what their game is, so not really too bad. I mean, when he keeps striking out people like he is, I don't think it's really a problem. So, he's had a fantastic season with this Reds team. They've been bad, but it's not because of him. Barrel percentage is down 4% from last year as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So, overall, has had an amazing... Ooh, I forgot to change the graphic completely. Sorry about that, guys. Has had a fantastic season with this Reds team. Has been an amazing player with them. And just, again, they've been bad, but don't point to Hunter Green as one of the reasons why. He's been really, really good and has lived up finally to the expectations. I think a lot of fans had set for him to be the future ace of this Reds team. Got a big extension this offseason, and it's been well-deserved. Has become the ace of this team. And, this Reds rotation looking very nice for the future with him, Nick Lodolo, some of the guys you have coming up through the minors like Chase Petty, Brandon Williamson, Andrew Abbott as well. So, has had a fantastic season with this Reds team, Hunter Green has, and I think definitely deserves to be an all-star replacement here. Now, the final one I wanted to talk about was Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo, who I've talked about a good amount in the show. I'm going to continue to talk about. You can see the Lindor jersey right there behind me. Obviously, I'm not going to hide it. I'm a Mets fan, so maybe I'm a little biased with the subject. Francisco Lindor is my favorite player of all time, but I just don't understand how they haven't replaced anyone in the All-Star game. I thought Brandon Nimmo would be announced sooner rather than later as the replacement for Tatis. I'm not exactly sure if they already put the replacement for Tatis on the roster with Heliot Ramos being there. I haven't really gotten a full answer on that because I believe there's one outfielder more than the American League, so there's obviously might be a replacement. I'm not exactly sure about that. Even so, they have to find a way to get Nimmo in this All-Star game. I mean, he's just been absolutely on fire. Hit a home run in his 3 straight games before today when that streak ended, but still got a huge RBI, letting in 3 runs today, making it 3-0, and really just solidifying this game in the 5th, which got the Mets a sweep over the Nationals and now has them in a wild card spot. So, has had an absolutely fantastic season and really has broken out. You look at his stats over the last few years, Nimmo, and it's just insane how he hasn't made an all-star game. I mean, has become one of the most underrated players in this league, and I really think they need to get him away into the festivities. And Lindor, I mean, I don't know why they haven't announced him yet as the replacement for Mookie Betts because he's the only obvious choice in my opinion. I guess MLB could be waiting to see if Lindor or Willie Adames from the Brewers is more deserving, as they are kind of close in their eyes, I guess. I don't really agree. I again think Lindor is the easy choice. I think that he 100% deserves to be an all-star this year. Finally, to be an all-star with this Mets team is so high in WAR in the NL and is 4th, I believe, right now. And the fact that he wouldn't be in the all-star game with that is really incredible. I mean, I understand he doesn't have the greatest start to seasons, but when you finish the season like he does, when you're as consistent as he is, I mean, I don't understand why he wouldn't just make the game. So I think he deserves to be an all-star, and I'm hoping Nimmo and Lindor can get in. Hopefully one of them can get in as a Mets fan. They both deserve it, both to get recognized for their status, and very much hoping that they can get recognized for it. So going back over the All-Star game replacements for this year, Jordan Westerberg from the Orioles replacing Rafael Devers of the Boston Red Sox, Willie Castro of the Twins replacing Jose Altuve of the Houston Astros, Hunter Green of the Reds replacing Tyler Glasnow of the Los Angeles Dodgers, and hopefully Brandon Nimmo and Francisco Lindor get in as well. Obviously, there are a lot of other All-Stars who are deserving to get in this game. We're not sure if there are going to be other guys who drop out of this. Could be interesting to see if there is. I mean, there always is going to be guys, I feel like. But I'm going to be watching that and seeing if there are any other replacements. And if there are, we'll let you know. But that is our third segment here, talking about the All-Star replacements this year for the MLB and just the guys who did end up replacing the injured guys who don't want to play, whatever, and just talking about their season and if they deserve it or not. Moving into our fourth segment here, which is going to be talking about Aaron Judge and this interesting situation. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but he was offered a monster contract by the Tampa Bay Rays, and I do want to go over it. So just kind of what happened with it, if he should have taken it or not. And I'll be going over that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC. to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fourth segment, which is going to be talking about an interesting situation that did happen yesterday and just was talked about, so I wanted to get into it. So a Rays beat writer was doing a story on Aaron Judge and talked about, I don't believe that what was known information before, if it was, I hadn't heard of it, that the Rays actually were in the bidding involving Aaron Judge and his free agency. And not only were they in the bidding, they offered him a pretty sizable contract. They offered him, apparently, according to this writer, who apparently I've checked with some people I know who like the Rays, and she's apparently very reliable, that the Rays offered Aaron Judge $300 million over 10 years. And Judge in the article kind of confirms this as well, saying the offer they gave me was with a lot of respect, and I appreciate them for doing that, appreciating my caliber of player, all that kind of stuff. And the Rays offering someone $300 million, $30 million per year is crazy. I mean, now this is not coming to me as a total shocker that the Rays are involved in a high-profile free agent. They apparently made a huge one-year offer to Bryce Harper a few years back. They were apparently a little bit involved in the bidding of Jacob deGrom last year, not to a full extent, obviously, as they didn't sign him, but there was obviously something there. deGrom is from Florida, so the Rays offering Judge this amount of money is kind of crazy. I mean, obviously he signed for 36 over 10, 360, not 36, 36 AAV over 10 with the Yankees. So the offer didn't come close. It was $60 million short, $6 million per year short. But at the same time, this is a pretty significant offer. I mean, you're looking first of all at, of course, Judge in his final days in free agency was down to two teams. The Yankees and his hometown Giants. Those two teams. Those are the two teams we knew that he was going to go to really from the start. We at one point thought he was going to the Giants. Arston Judge, John Heyman, all that. We at one point thought he was going back to the Yankees, back to the Giants. It was a lot of things, a lot of conflicting information because I don't really think we were used to seeing a free agent take as much time as Judge did and kind of be as private as he was. The really only thing that he did was leak that he had a free agency meeting with the Giants. I mean, John Morosi was following him around, I believe, in San Francisco, and it was very obvious that it was leaked, and he didn't just follow him on the street. He didn't just find him on the street. So that was really the only thing that happened. He wasn't really trying to actively get leverage or anything. So it's a very quiet free agency, and I think because of that, a lot of reporters are trying to get the first scoop, trying to establish themselves, and try to kind of make up stuff to get things going, and obviously it didn't work out. So with this offer now, it is interesting to think about because the Yankees and the Giants, they also have one thing in common. They're big markets, and the Rays are not. Tampa Bay is not a big market for baseball. And the thing that's interesting is we have to look at something else, which is big in baseball, big in a lot of sports. People don't talk about a lot when it's involving free agency contracts, state income tax. I don't know what the state income tax is in New York, as thankfully I don't pay significant bills yet. I'm only 18. But I know it's a lot living in New York my entire life, and I know it's a lot in California as well, especially the Bay Area. Florida, I know there's none. So as much as $300 million over 10 is a significant amount of money, and as much as it is though, obviously it's less than what the Giants and the Yankees offered him. If you're putting in the state income tax, it's really not that big of a differential. And Judge gets to keep the entirety of that 300. I'm not sure how much he gets to keep at that 360. Of course, he doesn't get to keep all of the 300, as I'm sure he has to give a good amount of it to his agent. So there's that. But looking at the state income tax part of it, it's a pretty good offer for this Rays team. And I think Judge would have considered it. He said that he didn't because he couldn't have imagined himself going to a direct rival of the Yankees. Which I get that, but again, money's money, but also when the Yankees are offering you more, and looking at the baseball side of it, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, you got to, at that point, there were a lot of star players in that team. You would have been able to team up with Isaac Paredes, Randy Arozarena. At the time, Wander Franco, who of course is a superstar, one of the best shortstops in baseball. Obviously, I'm sure Judge is very glad that he didn't go to the Rays, because I'm sure a big part of that would have been with Wander Franco. And Franco now has allegedly done some bad things and maybe is going to jail for a long, long time. So we'll have to see about that. He got a new charge added to his rap sheet, I believe. But again, all alleged. We have to let court play out for that one. But obviously that situation's rough, so I'm sure he's glad he didn't go to the Rays because of that. But the Rays, it wasn't really that bad of a situation. I mean, you had a lot of star players on there. You had Randy, you had Paredes, you had Franco at the time. You had some good players in the starting rotation as well. And if they were able to spend money on Judge, I'm sure they would have spent money as well. So the fact that the Rays did offer this is very interesting, and I think it begs the question to ask, will the Rays spend more money in the future? They obviously signed the biggest contract in franchise history, signing hometown boy Zach Eflin to a 3-year deal with $40 million. I'm pretty sure they're going to trade Zach Eflin at this deadline, so that deal is kind of moot, and it's not really going to be a big factor in their future plans. But they were in on Judge, they were in on Harper, they were in at some degree on DeGrom, I believe. They signed Zach Eflin. It's going to be interesting to see if the Rays spend money for the future, and what is going to happen with that. If their ownership finally decides, I want to invest in this team, I want to care about my team, because the Steinbergs have not done that. And yeah, just going to be interesting to see what the Rays do. And I think this team needs a lot of help. You have a lot of stars here. You have a lot of good players like Paredes, like Arozarena, who are both here as well. You have some good players in the rotation like Zach Littell, Eflin for now. Ryan Pepio is really good. Shane McClanahan, Jeffrey Springs, Drew Rasmussen. So there's a lot of good players, but you do need some help. And, I've also forgotten about Yandy Diaz, who's also a great player on this Rays team, but, that's another situation. But there's a lot of young talent here as well. Junior Camarino's coming up. You, of course, have Brandon Lau in the infield as well. But it's going to be interesting now to see if the Rays do spend a lot more money in the future and they be able to be a genuine player in this free agent market. And the way that the Rays are able to get players out of nowhere and make them stars, develop players, develop talent, develop older players to make them really good, the way they're able to do that now, you combine that with spending money, they're going to be a dangerous, dangerous organization. And it'll be very interesting to see that, what this team looks like if they do end up spending money, and overall what decisions they do make. Now, I just want to say, just floating this out there, there's a superstar free agent on the market who is very marketable, is from Tampa Bay, on the market this year. Pete Alonso. You add Pete Alonso to the middle of a lineup of Isaac Paredes, Randy Arozarena, Junior Camarino, Brandon Lau, Yandy Diaz. That's pretty great. I don't know if he's going to resign with the Mets at this point. As a Mets fan who watches them every day, it kind of seems like both parties are kind of, over with each other. So signing the hometown boy, being able to market around him, I'm sure he'd love to go back home. He grew up a big Rays fan, apparently. His favorite player was Evan Longoria, if I remember correctly. So I think being able to do that would be a pretty fantastic move. It's something we have to think about now if the Rays are able to spend money. But again, I think the Rays being able to spend money now, giving these offers, would be a huge thing for the franchise, and I really think it would improve them a lot. And going back to the Tampa thing, there's a big-time free agent next offseason, who hasn't had great contract talks with his AL team, is a genuine superstar, might be a top 30 player in the league, and that's Kyle Tucker. He's also from the Tampa area. If you're able to sign him, use the allure of no state income tax, going home, which you could also use with Pete Alonso, marketing around him, stealing him from your AR rival, I'm doing that. And I think these are questions we may have to consider now if the Rays are spending money. These are the things that we have to think about if the Rays, again, are spending money and are able to do these things. So it's very interesting to me to be able to think about what is going to happen with the Rays' future now and just what the team is going to look like. I am very, very intrigued at the prospect of them spending money at this Aaron Judge offer. And yeah, I'm just very interested to see if they do actually spend money in the future and just what the prospect of that looks like. So yeah, that is our fourth segment here, talking about Aaron Judge and the offer made by the Tampa Bay Rays in free agency and how interesting it was Moving on to our fifth segment now. In fifth and final segment, we'll be talking about the weekly hitter power rankings for MLB, giving my thoughts on them and just talking about them in the rankings as well. So going over that, and we'll see you after the fourth and final break. So thanks and bye. And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fifth and final segment for today's show, which is going to be talking about some hitter power rankings here. Sorry about the text. Let me change that. There we go. So yeah, just talking about the hitter power rankings for this week before the All-Star break, and just giving my thoughts on them, and going over the placements and where I think everyone should be. So yeah, starting off at number one, we of course have from the New York Yankees, Aaron Judge. Even with the Yankees' struggles, Judge has been incredible. Just incredible, insane, and just he's continued to be Aaron Judge that we all know, that we all love to watch, and just the generational baseball player that he is. So I think this is 100% deserved again. I think this placement is perfect, makes a ton of sense, and yeah, I think again it's easy to put him here because he deserves it so much. Judge has to be at the top of any hitter power rankings list. Makes too much sense in the world, and yeah, I think that this is 100% deserved for Judge, and yeah, I think this is correct, 100%. Next, at number two, we have from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani might become the first full-time DH to ever win MVP, which tells you how good of an offensive season he's having, that people are even considering it. The fact that he can only do one part of baseball, not provide any value of the other, and win, just shows you how insane of a hitter he is, and yeah, I think this spot is 100% deserved. I think that him and Judge have to be the number two in any kind of rankings for this. Both players are just absolutely fantastic with the bat. Generational type hitters that I'll be telling my kids about, my kids' kids about, and just incredible players. And I really don't think there could have been any other better choices than these top two here. So yeah, it makes a ton of sense. And yeah, I think that, again, very well deserved, and that both these players should be up here. Number three, we have from the Baltimore Orioles, Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson has been absolutely fantastic this year with the Baltimore Orioles, and this is 100% deserved. I think Henderson has been an absolute superstar with the bat this year. Is in the home run derby, which will happen on Monday, so I'm very interested to watch that. So overall, Henderson is someone very exciting to watch this year. Has become an absolute superstar since coming up with the Orioles. I mean, again, he was a top prospect with them, so we all kind of expected him to do this fantastic. But man, the way he's just flawlessly had power with his bat, been able to hit the ball as well as he has, and yeah, it's just absolutely incredible. And yeah, I think overall Henderson has been an amazing player, and I think this is 100% deserved. And I think that Henderson is a amazing player of the superstar caliber, is a future face of the game, and I think definitely deserves to be number three here. The fact that he's overtaken the two guys below him is pretty fantastic, but we'll be going over those. Number four, we have the other elite AL shortstop from the Kansas City Royals, Bobby Witt Jr. Him and Henderson have really been together as the future of the shortstop position all year. Both were in the home run derby as well. Both are just absolutely top shortstop prospects coming up, have absolutely lived up to the name and become their franchise icons. I mean, I think Gunnar Henderson has even overtaken Adley Rutschman at this point for the franchise face of this Orioles team, which is hard to do. So both have been fantastic this year, but focusing on Witt now. Man, has he been such an amazing bat with this Royals team. Has really done so good. I mean, really has just been an amazing bat. And yeah, just overall has been an incredible player with Kansas City, and definitely deserves this placement here at number 4. Really, I don't think anyone else could be more deserving of it. And yeah, definitely deserved to be here at number 4. And man, has he had such an amazing season with the Royals. Number 5, we have from the New York Yankees, Juan Soto. The fact that Soto isn't 2, 3, or 4 is pretty incredible, but I think it just shows how well Henderson and Witt have been hitting. I would still probably have Soto over Witt, but I wouldn't have him over Henderson, to be honest. But Soto is still an absolutely fantastic bat, is absolutely amazing this year, and yeah, he deserves to be on this list. I would probably put him at number 4, maybe even argue number 3, but yeah, definitely deserves to be here in an amazing season he's had. Number 6, we have the Yankee killer from the Boston Red Sox, Rafi Devers. Devers, again, really has boosted his status throughout the league for, the hitter power rankings after that series against the Yankees. I mean, man, was he lethal in that series against them. Was absolutely fantastic. Was so incredible. And yeah, I think 100% deserves this placement here. Has had such an incredible season with the Red Sox. A shame that he isn't going to be able to play in the All-Star game this year. We're not going to be able to watch him. But yeah, just an amazing season with this Red Sox team. Has become such a superstar with the bat over these past few years. Has really become the second coming of David Ortiz there in Boston. Big Dominican power bats playing on the corner. And yeah, just an amazing player for the Boston Red Sox. And Rafi Devers 100% deserves this. A very different hitter here at number 7 from the Cleveland Guardians, Stephen Kwan. Kwan has been absolutely incredible this year. Might be the closest thing we've had to Tony Gwynn since Tony Gwynn moved on from Earth. But just an amazing player. And really does fulfill that memory of how good Tony Gwynn was as an offensive force. Just is the same type of offensive player. The way that he's able to contact the ball and hit and just be a contact hitter is just really incredible. And yeah, Kwan has been an incredible player with this Guardians team, and really such a superstar with them, and has really broken out fully this year after a sophomore slump last year. Number 8, we have from the Houston Astros, another designated hitter, Yordan Alvarez. What's there to say about Yordan has been said. Yordan is an elite bat with this Astros team. Is absolutely fantastic. Is so good. Has been consistently one of the best hitters in baseball for a long time. Really deserves this placement. And yeah, I think it's perfect for him. And he's been absolutely fantastic this year. And I think it is 110% deserved. Definitely. And yeah, I think this is a great placement here to be at. And yeah, definitely deserves it right here. Number 9, we have from the Philadelphia Phillies, Bryce Harper. Again, not much to say about Bryce Harper that hasn't been said. He's absolutely fantastic, one of the best hitters in all baseball, and definitely deserves to be here at number 9. And has been such an incredible bat for this Phillies team, and yeah, 100% deserves to be here. Number 10, another first baseman from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Freddie Freeman. Freeman has been an incredible bat for this Dodgers team. Has been so good, and yeah, again, not much to say about him, but really has carried the Dodgers lineup with Ohtani since Betts went out. They've been so important to them because of the Betts injury and how much the Dodgers lineup has been struggling. So yeah, a great addition to the Dodgers lineup. He has been since he signed there from Atlanta a few years ago. Shockingly, I will say, and definitely deserves to be here. Would have liked to see maybe Jose Ramirez on this list, but I think all these really 10 placements are fine. I'd have Soto at number 4 over Witt, but that's really my only critique, and I think everything else is pretty much great. Again, maybe Jose Ramirez on here, but other than that, it's pretty great. Going over it again, 1 from the New York Yankees, Aaron Judge. 2 from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani. 3 from the Baltimore Orioles, Gunnar Henderson. 4 from the Kansas City Royals, Bobby Witt Jr. 5 from the New York Yankees, Juan Soto. 6 from the Boston Red Sox, Rafael Devers. 7 from the Cleveland Guardians, Stephen Kwan. 8 from the Houston Astros, Yordan Alvarez. 9 from the Philadelphia Phillies, Bryce Harper. 10 from the Los Angeles Dodgers, Freddie Freeman. And that is our show for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe to the notification bell to not only be notified when I upload, but when all the other great content creators on this channel do. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. I'm your host, Sam Medzi. It's a beautiful day outside. Hope you enjoy it, and hope to see you tomorrow. We'll see if baseball throws at us then. A little bit changing tomorrow. We'll not be having the power rankings. We'll be doing that the next week during the All-Star break, but you'll see what we're doing. So yeah, thank you guys so much again for watching, and see you tomorrow. Thanks, and bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't